So what's the difference between a random orbit sander and a finishing sander? Can I get away with having one of them in the workshop, or do I really need both of them? Don't go anywhere, because you're about to find out. The obvious place to start is that the orbit sander is circular, hence orbit, whereas the finishing sander is rectangular. Rectangular and has sharp corners, so it can get into corners, whereas obviously this being round, it cannot. However, being random orbit, it does the circular action and then it does the random up and down, left to right, which gives it a more aggressive sanding technique, so it can remove more material in a shorter space of time. It's smaller, it's more compact, and it's one-handed, whereas the finishing sander, you really need to have both hands on it, because being that it's got a large flat surface on there, you want to keep that flat on the surface all the time. You don't want to have to lift it, because you could dig in and you'll make your surface very different. So the uses of these machines, I would use this as my first sander, my stripping sander if you like. So if I had a painted worktop, or in the case of here I've got this rough timber and I wanted to take it back to the bare timber, this would be the machine I would use to begin with. However, if I didn't want to strip something quite so far back, or if I just put the base coat down on, say, a door or a worktop, and I needed to do a light sanding over the top ready for the next coat, the finishing sander would be the one I would use, because it's not quite so aggressive. Another difference between the two machines is the sandpaper. One uses sanding discs, the other uses sandpaper or sheets. Now, this one has a hook and loop system, so it's really simple. You just stick it straight on, make sure the vacuum holes are all lined up, job done, ready to go. This machine, on the other hand, you have to go to the effort of opening the clips, flipping the whole machine upside down, lining all the holes up and putting it into place. Now this machine, you can remove the base on this and replace it with a hook and loop system should you desire. Now, in fairness, for these testing, they're both brand new sheets. They're both at 60 grit. Now I've gone for a 60 grit because I want to show the grain effect of the sanding on the timber here, and they're both made by the same manufacturer. So without further ado, let's put them to the test. So if you've seen this video here that I did on the machine, then you'll know that when I put it down on the base, it gripped and pulled, which completely took me by surprise. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start the machine up first, and then I'm going to take it to the surface. And I'll do the same for the other machine, just to make it more fair. So let's start the 20-second countdown. 3, 2, 1. Absolutely nothing to it whatsoever, and you can't really see what's going on. I think maybe what I need to do is find a different type of timber. So obviously that demonstration didn't work too well, so I've swapped the timber. I'm going to put a new pad on it just for the simplicity of keeping things more even. And one thing with sanders as well, let the sander do the work, don't apply too much pressure. So let's see what happens here. Lovely smooth action on that, just let the sander do the work. You can see there's a few lines coming up on there. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you can see there's a few lines of where it's been cutting into the rough edge of the timber. A little bit of wearing caught on the underside of the circular on the sandpaper. Time to dismiss that. Time to get the other sander out and try the other side. Okay then. Let's just give this one a try. Same thing again. I'm going to start it and then place it down. Now this one's very, very smooth. Obviously it covers a much larger area because it's a bigger plate, bigger surface. 10, 8, 7, 6. You can see a bit of movement on the grain there, and there we go. So, looking at these two tools straight away, there is a big difference in the amount of material that they've removed, which is surprising because I would have thought the random orbit would have taken more off. But if you look here, there's still a considerable amount of top surface left, whereas over here, it's removed a far greater amount. And to demonstrate on something slightly different, this is an old chest of drawers which has got like an old varnish finish on, so I'm just going to use one sander on one side, one sander on the other. Probably a much better example than it was me trying to do that piece of timber just a second ago. But the major difference here is that because I'm on a vertical piece rather than a flat piece like such as the top of the table, being able to grab hold of two handles stops me from having a linear pressure pushing down there or using the sander coming down the surface, whereas the palm sander, one point of reference to push down and it keeps it even all the way. But that aside, with the orbit sander you can see how close the turns are with its sanding and how different it is to the finishing sander, which is far more linear in that it goes in a straight line with a left to right jagginess going on for its sanding. So two different types of sanding, two different effects and how they do it and what the results are. If you're following a grain, for example, and timber, maybe the finishing one would be better with that because you can follow the grain of the wood, whereas with the orbit it doesn't really matter because it's going around in a circular motion. Use the orbit one for plastics more and maybe some metals, whereas the finishing sander always used for timber. So which one would I choose if I could only buy one? Well, it wouldn't be this one. It would definitely be the orbit sander. It's more versatile, it's smaller, it's got quick release pads on the bottom because of the hook and loop system on it, and if I wanted to, and it actually says it in the instructions, take off the sandpaper, put on a polishing pad and use it on your car, believe it or not. But if you could afford both of them, definitely buy this one as well. Allows you to get into corners, gives a much better finish to timber, and it's just great. It's a really good feel to it. So are you a professional carpenter or a DIYer? Do you have one machine or the other machine, or do you have both? What do you use them for? I'd love to know. Please tell me in the comments below. And hopefully one day Makita very soon may bring out a battery powered belt sander. You never know. Fingers crossed. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this informative. I know I found it surprising. So until next time, Thank you very much for watching.